Okay, so I hope some of you might know me already. Some of you may be new to the group and may not be knowing me. So I will just introduce myself. I am Premjit. I'm a structural engineer by profession, and I am based out of Bangalore. And we are into consulting and training of building structures. So I run an organization called Design Dimensions, which is into consulting, and also Civil Era, which is into training. So Civil Era is a training division of Design Dimensions. We are a quite small team, but then we do projects, building projects in a very ethical and correct manner. So we have been doing consulting and training for the last 5 to 6 years. So online direct training and also consulting for the last 5 years. And prior to me starting on my own practice, I have been working with companies like Atkins, which is a multinational company based in UK. Right now, it is part of another group in Canada. But most of my time had been with Atkins, and also with many local companies in Bangalore like Total Environment, then MNCs like Jurong. So I had around 15 years of experience when I started my own practice. And then for the last 5 years, I've been helping out students and teachers, professors for covering the gaps in education, in addition to my consulting. So we Civil Era and Design Dimensions, we do consulting and training. So it is in this process of training students that I understood that there is a huge gaps in education and felt like we should do something to help out the students as well. So now who are interested to connect to me can connect to me on LinkedIn. So I will just share the screen and then just show you. If you are keen to connect to me, I'm open to connect to you at this. So you can see my name, Premjit Vasudevan. If you search in LinkedIn, you will be able to connect to me. And by doing that, you will be in a larger network of people who are also connected to me. I'll be discussing a lot of technical points in LinkedIn. So who are connected to me already knows that I'll be discussing and posting a lot of informative things. We also have a group in LinkedIn, so you can connect to me there. So here you can see my experiences and the kind of projects that we have executed in the past. And just for your understanding, so I was a senior associate with Total Environment. Then I was a team lead in Atkins, Jurong. These are some of the companies that I have worked with. So that's a quick profile. You can have a look at that. And if you want to see our consulting projects, you can see our uh, website designdimension.com. Here you will get an idea on what are the kind of projects we have been doing. So our current project is this one. It's a hospital campus for a hospital called St. Martha's in Bangalore, and we are doing this particular project. We don't do huge number of projects per year. We are not commercially doing a lot of projects. We stick to some good projects where we are allowed to do really good engineering. So where people expect compromises, these kind of projects we don't do. We do only really projects with architects who are really okay to do engineering. Then this was another interesting project we had done. This is something on an architectural college. Yeah, so those who are interested can look at our website designdimension.com. You can see here design-dimension.com. So that's about us that I want to tell you right now. So let us jump into the uh, webinar. Okay, so what I intend to help you out with today is the topic skills to master in civil engineering. So what are the things that you need to concentrate, and probably what are the job opportunities that you will get by doing certain things. So I'm going to discuss these things today. So first, let us see what are the different fields in civil engineering. As you all know, we have architectural planning, you have structural engineering, you have a geotechnical engineering, site engineering, project management, then you have plumbing services, which also comes as a civil thing. So I'm mostly concentrating on uh, building structures because most of my experience is in buildings and maybe underground metros and underground station buildings, but most of it is with building structures. Okay, I have also been part of rail structures in Atkins, but then generic things are, I mean, what are common to students like you is building structures. So I'll be focusing more on that, not on underground stations or on rail structures or similar things. Mostly it will be building structures. So there are many more fields like environmental engineering and all that, which also comes very close to civil things. I have not included that because the number of job opportunities might be less at this point in time, but then that's a very emerging and interesting field. So that also needs a mention. There are many more fields which I might have not written here, but then the core things in a building project is what I have mentioned. Okay, so now architectural planning, though I mention it as a civil scope, many times architects are very particular that no other stakeholders like engineers do this. Now they are coming up with architectural bill where Council of Architects membership is mandatory, for which BARC is the minimum requirement for approving drawings and all that. Having said that, engineers have their own plans to get engineers bill passed as well. So that means we might be still able to do the planning. Yeah, so that's an opportunity. Architectural planning is an opportunity, but then if you are really trained well under a engineer or architect who is good at planning, you can be an architectural planner. Yeah, currently the building rules in various cities allows you to be an architectural planner even if you have BE in civil engineering, and to certain extent if you are even a diploma in civil engineering or architecture. So architectural planning is something as per current building rules in Bangalore and city building rules. If you look at, engineers and architects have similar powers to do that. So that can be an option for you. But then there could be some restrictions in the amount of planning that you can do as an engineer if COA, Council of Architects, push through their regulations and other requirements. So be a little careful when you choose architectural planning as your career. That might slightly be a problem later on. Of course, interiors can be an option, those who like architecture, because interior, there is no restriction as of now. Whoever is able to do it can do that. Then my core attention will be on structural engineering. And if you ask me who can do structures, my answer would be that somebody who is having a minimum of BE civil engineering and a real good experience under a trained under a structural engineer. Yeah. So if you look at again building rules in India, if you look at National Building Code, somebody had posted this question in the chat that who can uh, be a structural engineer. Yeah. So many organizations ask MTech as a minimum qualification. As per the building rules in India, it is enough. If you look at National Building Code, it is good enough if you are a BE in civil engineering plus relevant experience. Say that is what actually matters, even in my opinion, because that is what I have seen in my personal experience also, because I have trained BE engineers, I have trained MTech engineers, I have trained a lot more architects and diploma students also. So with all my experience in training students and by hearing them and by understanding their doubts, I am convinced that, and even when I did my BE and ME, I know the difference, and I am very much convinced that the right engineer or the right uh, solutions comes from engineers who have good temperament, good attitude, and good understanding of the subject, irrespective of their level of education. BE and MTech has a very narrow difference, because even in MTech, uh, you are not covering the gaps in education. I am being very honest. So those who have MTech instructors don't feel offended, and those who have BE also don't be really very enthusiastic, because what finally needs is your ability to understand certain things. Yeah, at least the ability to understand what you don't know. So that's very important in engineering. What you know is important, what you don't know is also very important, and understanding what you don't know is really important. So that makes you a person who appreciates when to seek help. So that's very much important. So that's what matters. So even in MTech, what I was trying to tell you is the gaps in education is not purely technically covered. You learn structural dynamics, you learn FEM. Some colleges may not have that, some colleges may have bridges, but it's not covered in the way that it has to be. Yeah, even after MTech, many students are not able to put together a building and then say, okay, this is how I calculate a load on the stair, this is how the load distribution happens on a one-way slab. What is one-way slab? If I ask, even after MTech, people tell me Ly by Lx more than 2, it is one way. But why? What? There are so many other things in that. Okay. So I will come back to that. So structural engineering presents a lot of opportunities to you. If you are BE, even for diploma engineers, there is a lot of opportunities, because the kind of construction that's going to come in India, already happening in India on infrastructure side, is huge. Even though it's a little difficult period right now that we are going through, the amount of work that's going to come in infrastructure and building structures is going to be enormous. So there is always going to be requirement for good professionals. So good professionals, that's very important. And more MNCs are going to enter India as well for a lot of infrastructure works that's going to happen. Large scale projects, many of the Indian firms don't have that, say, metro kind of works. Indian firms do not have a great experience. Now, some of the firms are doing and then gaining that experience, but then there are quite a lot of UK based companies and Canada based companies who are working on metros in India, especially in the design, master planning, and all that aspects. Construction, maybe, yes, there are some companies like L&T who are capable to do that. But when it comes to engineering of these structures, there are going to be a lot of MNCs coming into India in the coming years. So as young civil and structural engineers, you have enough scope in all these structures which are going to come in. Same way, geotechnical engineering is a very, very low rated engineering in India. Many qualified professionals work on only on soil testing and giving a report on how many, what are the kind of foundations. Somebody had asked me that specific question on how to decide geotechnical aspects. That's a very, very important engineering. But for a building project of medium size, it's very much ignored. Yeah, their role ends when a report is submitted, and a due amount of value is not given to geotechnical engineering many times. That's what I have felt. But as the complication of the project increases, and already we have, when you look at shopping malls or high rise apartments, every building has 2 to 3 basements. Yeah, so all these needs special attention, and lack of it is what is leading to a lot of collapses. If you look at the recent history of collapses in Indian structures, it's all related to something on geotechnical. having loose soil and then excavating 6 meters without any protection, things like that. When to do soil nailing, when not to do soil nailing, when to go for something else. Yeah, so all these solutions comes from geotechnical engineering. And geotechnical and structural engineering is very closely related with respect to certain aspects, soil structure interaction. Yeah, so if you are talking about uh, whoever is writing on the screen, please can you stop doing that? It will uh, disturb me. Yeah, please don't do this marking on the screen. Somebody has done that. Please don't uh, touch your screen. Yeah, I can disable if you. Okay, so there are going to be a lot of opportunities in geotechnical engineering as well, and those who have flair in geotechnical engineering, that'll be really great. And when the number of underground structures, the metros and all that are coming up, which is more in numbers, understanding of soil structure interaction, diaphragm wall designs, all these are something a mix of structures and geotechnical. And if you look at a lot of structural engineers, you can see that their qualification is MTech in geotechnical, but due to lack of opportunities, maybe in geotechnical, they have eventually gained experience in structures and have become structural engineers. I personally know a lot of engineers who are basically geotechnical in qualification, but by practice, they are structural engineers. So somebody had asked me what is the minimum qualification needed for a structural engineer. I still would say BTech in civil engineering with a real sound basics and a real good experience in structures. Yeah, it's not MTech or BTech what matters to me. To me, it is the experience and the ability to understand certain basics. So if you have that, you can be a structural engineer. Only thing is you have to systematically work towards that. I will come to that. Now, site engineering, it involves in executing what the design engineers and architects have done. So don't underestimate site engineering. That is one of the main field which gives you a job, and that is something interesting if you work again systematically and hard. Okay, then comes project management, where you have a mix of site engineering and then scheduling your say your project progress, your budget, your labor mobilization and things like that. Yeah, so you have a lot of things that will come along with project management. You also have a lot of site engineering within project management. Yeah, so if you look at very large projects, there will be different stakeholders like architect. Fortunately or unfortunately, in India, an architect leads a building project. Yeah, but to me, all stakeholders are equally important. But then due to the reason that architects are on board initially, they take the lead of the project. Somebody has asked me what is the qualification required for geotechnical engineering. Again, it is BE in civil engineering. And if you have specialization in soil mechanics, there is a specialization MTech or ME in soil mechanics or geotechnical engineering. That would be great. Yeah, again, it all depends on how good you are understanding the concepts and basics. Yeah, so BE civil is even now the minimum qualification needed for geotechnical. Now, project management is okay. If you have a building project, you have different stakeholders, architects. They plan, but currently in India, they lead the project simply because they come into the project first, and the aesthetics part and all that are overlooked over other things. So architects leads a project. That doesn't mean that other stakeholders are less important. Structures, then you have MEP consultants, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. And in this plumbing, mostly civil engineers have a role in deciding the plumbing systems. So if you are somebody who likes plumbing systems and how to decide the capacity for tanks, how to route the water related issues, requirement, and if you like to get into irrigation things in apartments, whatever landscape things are needing the plumbing systems and all that similar things, firefighting things, all these kind of things, then plumbing is something that you can explore. It's something relatively easy, but then needs a understanding again. Yeah, so any civil engineer can do that. So BE Civil is again the requirement for that. Then comes environmental engineering. So here you have things like looking into the sustainability part, looking into the STP, plumbing, and that is very closely related. Things like sewage treatment plant, yeah, things like that. Then the sustainability requirement, the green building concepts, all that environmental engineer can handle. The rules and regulations related to environmental things. Say, for example, if you look at cities like Kochi or any coastal area, there may be some green zones. Yeah, so understanding that, yeah, sustainability part, so many things, not just it's a very vast subject. It is not just what do you call environmental alone. It consists of a lot of things like that. Yeah, so if you have a large project, these stakeholders are all going to be there. Yeah, and the project management consultant's role is to ensure all the stakeholders work together, your drawings are well coordinated, the site is aware of the changes. So PMC, project management consultants, so they do inspection and ensure that the quality is proper. All the drawings are arriving on site on time, the client's budget is met, the client's schedule is met. Yeah, so they do all this in every scheduling and managing aspects of the project will be done by a PMC consultant. There are many MNC consultants in India. Yeah, Synergy, they have been renamed now, Colliers, and there are many more, not just one. Yeah, so there are many MNC organizations who are into PMC. So when you work in PMCs, you get an overall subject idea to coordinate. So you need to have that skill. You need to know what structures does, what architects does, when do you need structural drawing on site, when do you need MEP information so that structural engineer can finish off certain things. Say, for example, you need a sleeve in a beam. Yeah, so the PMC need to foresee that electrical consultant should give that particular information before structures can finish their beam drawing or foundation drawing, whatever. So that way you need to have a all-round understanding of the building cycle for performing well in PMC. Yeah, so it involves a bit of site engineering, it involves a bit of coordination, it involves a bit of listening with the authorities and things like that. Yeah, so it's a all in one kind of a role where you will be exposed to a lot of things. Yeah, so that is what PMC does. uh, yeah, so I have given you a rough idea on different disciplines. If you have any doubts, you can ask me later when I give you time to uh, ask me. Now, who will be your employees if you are looking to work somewhere as youngsters, straight away getting into entrepreneurship? Maybe okay and good for some, but not for all, because you need tremendous understanding on certain subjects for performing a role well. So structural engineering firms can be your employer if you are planning to be into structural engineering, design, or detailing. You get jobs in structural engineering firms. Now, general structural engineering firms does building projects in large numbers. It could be steel or RCC, but a bread and butter for a structural engineering firm will be RCC buildings in India. Most of the consulting firms will be having more of RC projects because most of our building projects are still RC. Yeah, so that's one thing you will be doing as a structural engineer. You will be analyzing, you will be designing, you will be detailing, you will be overseeing the coordination at site and things like that. So your role will be that. So if you are a person who likes detailing, yeah, detailing is something that conveys your design and converts it into a drawing and pass the information to site, which is as important or more important than design as such. Because what you design, if it's not conveyed in the right manner, then this is all going to be useless. Okay, somebody is saying my voice is breaking. Is it okay now? Nitin, is it okay now? Can you hear me? Somebody can chat? Okay. Fine. Thanks, Nitin. Yeah, all right. So, structural engineering firms will have that jobs, and there are many detailing firms which have started outsourcing from abroad, UK, Dubai, and all that. There will be a lot of opportunities in building information modeling, Revit, Tekla, and similar tools if you like detailing. Yeah. So don't consider, even if you are masters, don't consider detailing as a low end work. Generally, there is a belief among youngsters that detailing is a bad job. It's not like that. Detailing is an important job. Only thing is, if you enjoy that, you take it up. Yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities in detailing. Many companies in UK, US, Dubai, Middle East, they don't like to do that work in house. They outsource that to countries like India to reduce the cost. So I know a lot of engineers, my friends who are into detailing, and then are doing really good, much better than design engineers. Yeah. So if you like detailing, take it up. Yeah. So we'll come back and discuss a bit on that later. Then government public sector enterprises, you will need to have in really good public sector companies. If you want to get into, you should have a gate score, so they can be your employer. And when say metros and all that are coming up now, metros, Delhi Metro, Bangalore Metro, they can be your employee. So you need to work in a different way to get into these public sector enterprises. Then architects can be your employer, and the role of a civil engineer in architects firm is going to be something more on site inspections, sometimes on quantity, taking out quantities, and sometimes you can even convince them to do some smaller work in house, say 2 floor 3 floor houses. You can say that I can design the structures for this. Yeah. And then coordinating with the structural engineer. So if you are looking for a job, don't hesitate to work for an architect. Don't hesitate to apply in an architect's firm. By being there, you will at least understand the cycle of your building project. Then get in touch with a lot of consultants, a lot of structural engineers, and then by that contacts, you might land a better design job as well. And sometimes you may like what you're doing in an architect's office, even though it's quantification and site inspections and similar things. You will get exposed to a lot of things. So don't hesitate to work for an architect. And if the architect is good, sometimes you will also get to plan things, and you will learn the entire architectural design cycle also. So current laws, as I said, allows engineers to practice architecture. Even though within limited area, you can be a good planner, and you can perform the role of an architect if you get that opportunity. Yeah. Then PMC, I already told you what are the roles that you will get. You will be an all-rounder there. You might have to oversee construction. Now, sometimes being a site engineer for a contractor will be really difficult. Is my sound okay now? Is it breaking? Currently, is there a break in the voice? Okay. Yeah. So the role of a PMC, I already told you, it will be more of inspecting, more of coordinating, and similar to that. So now, if you are a site engineer with a contractor, then your role will be a little challenging because you are responsible for the day-to-day activities in the site. But if you are a site engineer of a PMC, then your life is a bit more easier because you will be managing this guy. Yeah. So your role will be to oversee your contractor's work, then to coordinate with other stakeholders like architects and say structural engineers and all that. So it will be a bit easy to perform your role. With a contractor, your role is on a day-to-day activity management, mobilizing labor, mobilizing materials, overseeing the construction. So it'll be a little bit more challenging. So what you like, you can take up. So you get to know the day-to-day activities if you are with a contractor. If you are with a PMC, you will be occasionally overseeing things. So that will be a different kind of job. Yeah. So for PMC, you will need a slightly different skill set. For being with a contractor or a construction team, your skill needed is slightly different. Yeah. So if you are in a soil engineering consultant's office, you will be responsible for the soil aspects, checking, I mean, doing the soil test, getting the lab reports, then looking at the soil strength and similar things. Survey, many times you will need to survey. Sometimes it may be a refurbishment company, so you have to demolish certain things and build something new. So you don't have the structural drawings with you. You will have to visit the site and then take measurements and understand what needs to be uh, I mean, what is the current situation of the building, make a as-built drawing. There are two kinds of surveys. One is that what I'm talking about. Then second is what you have done in your college, like your topography and things like that. Yeah. So that, if you like, that is an option. Interior design is an option. Licensing with various agencies. See, if you are with a big developer, yeah, there is a lot of licensing required between government departments for approvals. Yeah, there are building rules, so you need to understand what are the setback requirement. Yeah, if you like doing that, you can opt such a job. What are the setback requirement? When will you need a fire approval? If the building is more than 4 floors, you might need a fire fighting things in your building. Yeah, when do you need a fire tender to move around the building? You may need some space. Yeah, when will you need STPs? If it's a 1 floor building, you may not need. When do you need say rainwater harvesting? These kind of regulatory requirements and licensing for that, coordinating with different stakeholders for approval to understand what are the requirements. All this, you will need a team, and there will be a dedicated team in big developers office. So if you like doing that, that is also an option for you. Yeah, so these are some of the options. There are many more options that are available as a young civil engineer. Even some of the roles which I mentioned, like surveying, interiors, licensing, detailing, yeah, site supervision, all this, irrespective of your qualification, even if you're diploma in civil engineering or architecture, if you have good skills, you will be able to do that. Yeah. Now, the problem with all our educational system is that we just focus on subject. Yeah, you learn FEM, you learn beam design, you learn everything, but then you don't apply that in a real life, or you will not completely know what it is all about. I will help you to understand certain things like that. Yeah, and you never know what is a complete design cycle. Yeah, where it starts, where the building starts and where it finishes, anybody knows? I doubt. Yeah, so in India, even consultants are a little bad in coordination. Yeah, everything narrows around money. Nobody wants to pay a consultant. Yeah, so that's a big problem. But in college, you never think, or never even your teachers think about a complete design cycle. Who starts the project? When a structural engineer should enter into the project? Now in India, what happens generally is, client will tell the architect, he will hire an architect and tell the architect, okay, these are the things I want. Yeah, so the architect with his experience makes a plan, and until it is almost frozen, even for mid-scale projects, say 10-floor building, this is what happens. When it is a bit more larger, maybe a structural engineer will be on board on day one. But in most of the buildings, even in mid-scale buildings, only architect is on board, because client don't want to pay another person. Yeah, so client will just hire an architect and freeze his plan. Yeah. Now, Architect, if he is really experienced, he might look into structural requirement, but otherwise he might give a lift here in the corner, yeah, and some columns he plans, yeah, and then says that okay, now we will hire a structural engineer, our architectural plan is complete. Yeah, now what happens, say this is a 20-floor building. Now for lateral resistance I need a shear wall somewhere, really, not somewhere which is going to help me to bring in some good behavior in buildings. Yeah, what I mean is, uh, when an earthquake happens, I'm drawing the elevation of the building. When the earthquake happens, the building can move in many different ways. Yeah, so I want the first initial few movements to be very regular, so that the building doesn't fail immediately when the earthquake occurs. Yeah, I will talk about modes of vibration and all that in a different webinar. I cannot get into that, but simply put, earthquake is nothing but ground movement. It's just like when you are in a bus. Yeah, you are standing in a bus and the bus takes off. What happens? You feel inertia and you fall down. So that's what earthquake is all about. Yeah, so you need to hold properly when you are in a bus so that you don't fall. Same way, your shear wall position, your stiffness should be at the right place for you to ensure that the building doesn't twist when the earthquake occurs. Torsional modes should be avoided as much as possible. So if your shear wall position is in a corner, then it's very difficult for ensuring that torsion is avoided. Then if the torsion comes into play, then you know that the building is concrete and is brittle and it will crack and break up very soon. Yeah, so when the ground moves, what happens is your shear wall is in a corner, and what happens? Here you have huge stiffness, so this area will not move, the other area move. That's why you have torsion. Yeah, so you should avoid that. So if you are on board initially itself, then that's good. You can suggest to the architect and the client, okay, this is not what you want, I want it somewhere here. So if they get this feedback, then they can work around that and then make the architectural planning upfront. So this kind of education is not even given to architects or to civil engineers or to anybody. So nobody experiences a complete design cycle. So in India, what happens is it starts with an architect, then a structural engineer is pulled in, then we work around that already frozen position, and that's how our buildings becomes bad. Yeah, and it makes it more uneconomic also. There are various things that we will discuss about that later, not today. Yeah, so we need to have a complete understanding on the design cycle. So if you are a civil engineer, you also should know uh, how the building is built. Yeah, where it starts, how is the coordination happening, what all information you will need for performing your role. All these are not exposed. You are not exposed to all these in your education, BE, PhD, whatever you do, it's not exposed. You are not exposed to these requirement. Yeah, so that's what makes you different from others. If you have that skill, if you have somebody asked me when is the right time to get into internship, what are the methods to get into internship, somebody had asked me. Yeah, so if you have covered all this in your college, then there was no need of internship. So the need of the hour is that either you proactively get into all this yourself, your college is not going to do that. Yeah, or the education system be revamped, and the industry and the college interaction should increase. So this is not happening, so you have to be proactive. And let me tell you, there are many students who are really proactive and have done this and are really doing well. So gaps in education, I will tell you one or two examples of gaps in education. So somebody had asked me to explain something about soil mechanics, how to select foundation. I don't remember who had told me, but somebody had told me to say that. So let me ask one question. Yeah, so I have a plot. Okay, I want to build, say this is 40 by 60 feet. I want to do my, say, soil testing. Okay, so now how many number of boreholes are needed? Say you may be great in ETAPS, you may be great in doing Revit modeling. Yeah, but your neighbor or your uncle came and asked you, say, I'm going to build a house, should I do soil testing? What will you answer? Yeah, somebody may say, yes, you have to do. Okay, then he will ask you next. The geotechnical consultant is telling that we need three. So, do we need three? Yeah, you are not able to tell an answer. Yeah, then what is the use of knowing ETABS? There is no use of knowing ETABS. You need to focus on these kind of things. Yeah, ETABS, STAT, everything can do your job, but it can do the job only if you know things. Yeah, so you need to know how many number of boreholes are needed, what kind of foundation is required. Yeah, so it comes with the soil report. So once you investigate, once you do the soil testing, you get to know the soil type, and based on the soil type and the SBC of the soil, you can decide what kind of foundation is needed. So if you have a laterite, very strong soil with N value more than say 15, yeah, say 20 and 20, 25, then you can go with an isolated footing. It all depends on the column positions, number of columns, the closeness of columns, yeah, and various factors. But soil parameter is what is going to decide most of this. Yeah, so based on the soil report, you get to know what kind of foundation is needed. Yeah, I cannot elaborate more than this in this webinar, but you can ask me your specific doubts once I finish my talking. Yeah, so this is an example of a gap. Now, there are many MTech engineers here. Okay, so let me, very simple question. Will you fix the base of a column or pin the base of a column? Yeah, somebody may say fix, somebody may say pin. But my question is, why fix, why pin? This junction you didn't pin or fix. In college, you studied this as fixed, but you didn't pin or fix. You let the interaction to happen. You let the stiffness to play, and based on the stiffness, you got the answer. You got the moment here. Now, why don't you do it here? Why don't you model a foundation here? Why do you want to pin or fix? You didn't fix here. Then why are you pinning or fixing here? Yeah. So if I ask this to a engineer with MTech and even 1 year of experience, sometimes they are not able to answer me. So this is what makes you different. If you know this, if you can conclusively tell why I will fix, when I will pin, yeah, this is what the knowledge is needed. So if you have that, if you are BE, if you are ME, if you are PhD, I don't care. Yeah. So this is what you need to develop, not just mere qualification. Yeah. So in reality, it doesn't really matter if you fix or pin. In reality, it is neither pinned or fixed. Yeah. It's in between that. The real thing is you have a foundation there. Yeah, but generally there are difficulties in modeling it, and here you can leave it as it is, here you cannot leave it as it is, because there is an interaction with soil here. So most of the softwares will not let you to bring in that interaction in the right way, so you need a thumb ruleish way. So that's why we are either fixing or pinning. Now when will you fix, when will you pin? We'll have a different session to debate that, or to discuss that. We will do that later, or I will share you some piece of information if you ask me. Yeah. So these are the things you need to attend to. Now another question. I have a slab. This is 2 meter, this is 4 meter, or this is 5 meter. Yeah. Can I put a cutout here without anything? What will happen if I do a cutout? Can I just do that, or should I design? Should I redesign? Probably no, because this is a one-way slab, so your load is going to be like this. So you can just take the decision and go ahead if you have enough steel, if you have designed it properly as a one-way. Now, what is a one-way slab? Ly by Lx is more than 2. Yeah, but then why 2? Why not 1.9? Who said this is 2? Why is it 2? Why not 1.9? Yeah, so these are the kind of things that you need to know. Another example, say somebody asked you, I have a beam like this. Yeah, I need to have a sleeve in this particular beam. to run electrical pipes. Where will I give that? Will I give here? Will I give here? Will I give here? Will I give here? Where do I give this? You are MTech in structures, you know ETABS. What is the use? Where will you give this? So you need to have authoritative understanding on your behavior. It's very simple. I will answer that for you. See, probably this is going to be a bending moment diagram for this particular beam. You know that you have tension here. You know that you have tension here. You know that you have tension here. Now, you know that tension is taken by rebars and compression is taken by the concrete. So you cannot afford to remove your concrete because concrete is taking your compression. So which is your compression zone? This is your compression zone. So this cannot be given because you are eating away concrete from compressive zone. This is okay if you don't touch the rebar. Can you hear me now? I have slight problem with my internet. Okay, same way, this is okay because this is the tension zone. So in tension zone, you don't need concrete. Yeah. So this is what we need to understand. So there are many more things like this. I'm just giving you some simple examples. So if you understand that, if you are able to appreciate that, then you are good. Yeah, just knowing ETABS or any software doesn't help you. You should be able to take decisions like this. So if you have enabled yourself by understanding these requirements, then you are good. Yeah, there are many more. These are all simple practical things that I pointed out. In design also there are a lot of things. Why do you need minimum steel? Yeah, things like that. So if you cover these gaps in education, then you are good. Detailing, yeah, so that's something which you need to know where you should not lap. Yeah, so generally you say that if you have a beam, don't lap in the middle. Bottom reinforcement, don't lap in the middle. We all know that because your maximum moment is going to come in the center. Yeah, so don't lap there. But then can you lap at the support? For gravity loads, this is right. But even in the support, you cannot lap. Why? Because when you have lateral loads, when you have earthquake, yeah, I'm coming back to the bus example. When you are standing in a bus and when the bus take off, and if you are holding on the bar in the bus, what happens is your joints will start paining. Yeah, that's because the lateral thrust is acting at the joints. So if you are holding with your hand, your grip, your wrist, your shoulder, your knees, all these are going to pain because of the inertia. Yeah, because you had a thrust. Same way, all your earthquake thrust is going to happen at the column beam junctions. Yeah, so if you lap there, for gravity load, that's the best place to lap because you don't have tension at the bottom. Tension is at the top. So rebars are not needed at the bottom. So if you lap at the bottom support, that's the best thing for gravity loads. But when it comes to lateral loads, that's the worst place to lap. Yeah. So you should not be lapping there. You should be lapping, leaving 2D at least from the face of the column. You should not lap even in the center because you know there is moment there. Yeah. So if you don't know this, then knowing ETABS is of not much help. Yeah. So you have to plan your labs. You need to know where you should not be doing it. So as a diploma engineer or as a BE civil or MTech civil, everything, if you are a engineering professional, you need to know this. Even at site, you need to know this. If you don't know this, then there is no much use because you may end up lapping here and creating problems for the building. Yeah, so this is common to everyone: site engineer, detailer. If you know this and if you are a detailer, you will be much appreciated by your seniors because you are, when you produce your drawing, you are not lapping here, you are showing it somewhere here with 2D marked there. So as a fresher, you can know this if you have read IS 13920 and I don't see a reason that you should not be reading it as a young engineer. Yeah, so it's a 1 hour job that you need to do after you learn beam design. So if you have done it, irrespective of your BE or MTech, you will know this. If you have not done it, you will not know that. Yeah, so this is what I say, gaps in education. Yeah, so if professors don't tell you this, that's because of the limitation in time. That doesn't mean that you should not look either. Yeah, I will consider sharing it, but then try to be here. Others are able to hear me? Okay, Deepu. Thanks for confirmation. Yeah, so these are the kind of skills that you should develop in order to be in the profession. Yeah, so if you have to excel really well, you have to cover these gaps in education. You should be able to take decisions appropriate to your level of experience. Yeah, so detailing also, I just told you what are the things. You should be able to detail everything: foundations, pile foundations, raft. Yeah, beam, where to lap, where to give sleeves, things like that. Then building information modeling is emerging as a really, really big thing. And that also reminded me of another job opportunity, quantity surveying. Yeah. So if you like quantities, you can take it up. Your role will be mostly to quantify things, rebar, and say if you are in an architect's office, you will have to quantify various other materials needed. Even if you are working for a contractor, you will have to quantify things. Yeah, so that's going to present a lot of opportunities, and tools like Revit is going to help in taking quantities in one shot. So I'll be showing you a few things about BIM and ETABS and all that for your understanding. So Revit is a very useful tool for doing quantification, also coordination. Yeah. So one more point I want to say in terms of detailing BIM, everything is, see, there is a lot of developments in detailing. For a beam, say I have a detail like this. Okay, now most of the times we bend this bar at site. Yeah, a bar bender will be taking a straight bar and then bending it to form like this. But if you look at Europe, if you look at Dubai, there are lot of labor rules there. In UK, it's very stringent. They don't let people lift more than 10 kgs, 10 or 5. I have a doubt now. I forgot about that. I think 5 kgs. You are not supposed to lift. You cannot ask a barbender to lift something which is more than 5 kgs weighing inside. Yeah. So all this comes as pre-cut bars. Even in Bangalore, even in India, for large projects nowadays, a lot of projects are being done with pre-cut bars. What I mean by pre-cut bar is this bar is bent, cut and bent at factory and supplied. It will be numbered and given to site saying the dimensions. Yeah. So when you detail, it has become mandatory that you give a bar bending schedule. Yeah, you call it BBS, bar bending schedule. So if you look at SP34, there is a standard format also for bar bending schedule preparation. And most of the UK projects will have this bar bending schedules. So what is your role as a detailer? So if the beam dimension is 6 meters, this should go with a precise dimension. Yeah, so you should have to account for bending tolerance. Here, when you bend it, there will be a tolerance needed. Yeah, it should also account for this dimension, because if this is numbered as bar number 1 with a total length of 8 meters, with a bend dimension of 300 millimeter, it should be precise so that when it is cut and bend and coming to side, it should fit inside your beam. Yeah, it should not come out of your beam, or it should not be coming like this, nor it should be coming like this. Yeah, it should be exact. With 5 mm precision you should get it. Yeah, so you have to prepare your detail to that precision. So you need to know what are the tolerances needed for bending. Yeah, when you bend there may be a slight reduction in the total length. Yeah, so all this you should appreciate and then create a bar bending schedule. So this is when tools like Tekla, tools like Revit comes into handy for a structural engineer. You will get exact quantities, you will be able to prepare exact schedules. Revit is a little weak in doing this bar bending schedules, but there are many other advantages using Revit. Tekla is much better for preparing bar bending schedules as such, or you can use even AutoCAD, but only thing is you need to apply your mind and do this. Okay, so as a detailer there is a huge scope in preparation of bar bending schedules. There are a lot of engineers who work in this area and earn a huge amount of income by doing projects for UK based companies. Yeah, so that's an outsourcing opportunity that you will get. There are many companies working in that where you can do that. So don't consider detailing as a low end work. It has a lot of opportunities and a lot of requirements and a lot of work. It's not simple. Yeah, then you need to know a lot of practical things. You need to know about services requirement, like what MEP needs. Yeah, where they may need a sleeve, so you need to plan your beam positions, slab positions, things like that. Now, I already told you what importance MTech has. See, if you look at most of the building rules, most of the city building rules, BE is enough. But some places like Kerala has a rule where they have mandated that ME is needed for signing stability certificate. But still you can design things as a BE, but for signing the stability certificate you need masters in structures. I don't believe in those rules because these are all not really right. Overnight coming and saying that ME is needed is not correct, because in my experience I have seen really good BE engineers and I have seen very bad ME engineers. Good also there, but many are not up to the mark either. So it's not the qualification but the ability which matters. If you look at some of the leading engineers in India, many are B. If you look at Sterling, which is headed by Kamal Hadkar, and so many other consultants are uh, B. Yeah. Then you can look at taking memberships in institution of engineers, institution of consulting bodies, and then interact with people. Being a member of certain institutes will be an added advantage. Yeah, so when I say about memberships, I also remembered about iStructT. So if you are somebody who is really studious, only if you are very studious, okay, and you have real interest in being an international structural engineer, look at iStructE website. This is a membership in UK Structural Engineers Association, or it's something called iStructE, Institution of Structural Engineers. It's equivalent to IEI in India, Institution of Engineers India. Yeah, but here you will get the membership if you apply and if you have certain experience. But iStructE comes with a lot of difficult process. You have to clear an exam, you have to clear an interview, then only you will be a member of iStructE. Yeah, as a student you can enroll as a student member, but then you have to work towards your membership. You have to uh, clear certain professional development, and you have to work under a iStructE member, and then if he approves you as a qualified person, you will be led to undertake an exam, which will be a 5-hour exam to asking about certain design requirement. It will be a holistic project given to you. You have to answer that. And once you clear that, you will be called on for an interview. And if you are a member, your status will be much different. You might get options to work directly in UK. The salaries are going to be completely different. There will be a lot of importance to you if you hold this membership, but it's not easy. Yeah. So if you are really studious, you can look at that. There is another organization called ICE, which is similar to iStructE, but it's called Institution of Civil Engineers, which is also difficult, but relatively less difficult than iStructE. So it's a generic thing, ICE. This is civil, this is structures. Both are carrying equal importance. But if you want a slightly easier method, ICE may be the way. You can directly get opportunities in Europe and Middle East, but it's real hard work. I think now in India, in Bangalore, there is a center to write the exam. Earlier, you had to go to Colombo or Dubai if you wanted to write this exam, but then currently I think it is there in Bangalore. You can Google, you will get the India representative of both of these, and you can get in touch with them and ask them for help in way forward. Yeah. Or you can ask me later, but the best thing to do would be to Google and find the representative. They will have a representative in India, and ask them how to go about that. So all this are going to help you. So if not, you take memberships in Indian organizations and bodies, which will be useful as well. There are many companies and many organizations which gives you membership and then invite you for the webinars and things like that. Then your CV is important, your communication skills are important, your presentation skills are important, the way you prepare for interviews are all going to be important for getting. Am I audible now? Can somebody confirm? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I think I got disconnected a while.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So did you hear when I spoke about iStructE membership and all that? Did you hear me when I spoke about iStructE membership? Can somebody tell me?
Yes, sir. Heard, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that can be a route for studious students. And if you are wanting to have some tips on your CV writing, your communication skills and all that, you can get into my blog, www.civilera.com/blog. There I have written some blogs, civilera.com/blog. If you go there, you can read some of the blogs where I have written about your skill set. You can also ask me for the CV samples if you want me to. If you come down here, here I might have written something about CV and all that. So you can get in touch with me as well if you want more guidance. Then somebody had asked me about soil. I have two or three blogs on soil parameters. So you can read that and get back to me, number of boreholes, then 4 tips for foundation design, things like that. And somebody wanting to know about lapping rules, there are certain blogs. So you can go through this and then ask me if you have any kind of doubts on these topics. Uh, then coming to Revit, here is a model which I have done. What building information modeling can do for you is it can coordinate between disciplines. Yeah, so I can make this building model by having the architectural model with me and overlaying that and interconnecting with that, I can make a structural model. And the advantage once you make this is coordination. First and foremost important aspect is coordination. If the architect moves a wall, say, let me go to the uh, structural plan, say fifth level, or maybe,
Sir,
hello?
your screen is not
Sir, your
shared, sir.
screen is not visible.
Okay.
It's not shared.
Yeah, yeah, one second. Maybe when I got exited. Yeah, now it's shared, right? You can see, right? Yeah. So the advantage is that, say, for example, you have a wall here, say here, and that's the reason I have put the column here. And if the architect moves the wall, you will be able to understand that because it's all coordinated. It's all interlinked. That way it enables you to do things. And another advantage is that you can very quickly get sections and all that. So if I click on this particular thing, you get the section. So you know you don't need to spend your time drawing your sections, and it will remain coordinated. For example, if you change the beam depth here, automatically the depth will get reflected in the section also. Yeah, but in a conventional way, when you work, there are chances that you forget to change the size of the beam in plan, or you change the size in plan but you didn't change in section, so there will be discrepancies. So if you use Revit, this kind of discrepancies will never happen. You will be able to have well coordinated error free drawings. Yeah, there are much to it, but I will not be able to tell you everything in a quick way in a short span of time, so be with me. All I can tell you now is it helps in coordinating. uh, can you please mute whoever is speaking, please? Yeah. So that is one advantage, coordination, and then producing your drawings in a super fast way. All your GA drawings, your general arrangement, your plans will be super fast. So you can present it in the same way as you see in your AutoCAD drawings. So if you look at your sheets, you will get as good as in AutoCAD. Yeah, so it looks like a drawing, but then actually it's a model. It's a 3D model converted into drawing. So sections, everything you get in a very error-free manner. Whatever you want, all your. Then I told about the quantification also. So if you look at this, I have created a quantification for the foundation. Yeah. So from the model, without any calculation, you will be able to get your total quantity. So F1, your volume. Yeah. There are many F1, so it's repeated. You can also group it, which I have not done here, but you get the volume of each of your foundation in one shot. Your pad foundation is 25.2 meter cube. Yeah, so in that manner, it is going to give you the quantities, everything in one shot. So that's the advantage. Coordination happens, error-free drawings do happen, and you will be able to get the quantities as well. And even rebar detailing is possible to certain extent, that we will cover in a different webinar. So as such, I wanted to speak only this. So if you have any kind of questions, you can ask me. I wanted to cover a few more things, but then we are short of time. Basically, it's the gaps that you need to cover. You need to have a complete understanding of your building project for becoming independent. So if you do that, then the chances of landing a job, the chances of performing well in a job is much higher. So you can ask me questions next 10-20 minutes we can spend with questions. So if you have any questions, you can pick up the mic and ask me. Anybody? Any questions? Okay, I will unmute you. I think I have not unmuted. Yeah, so if you have questions, you can ask me. Anybody can pick up the mic and ask me. I have given you the option to unmute.
Sir, very good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Who is this?
I'm Haider, sir, from Hyderabad. I'm in the last semester of ME Structures, sir.
Okay.
And what I wish to ask is that, sir, like you spoke about the gaps in education,
Yeah.
and I mean, uh, we could go. I mean to say that is that, sir, we could go through the codal provisions
Huh.
and then learn the software. But
Yeah.
how can we bridge that gap that we are getting in between, sir?
Okay. Fine. See, give me a minute. Yeah. So the first thing that you should do is you should think beyond the textbooks. And when you get a problem, say for example, in your design of beams, you are given the beam loads, right? You are given the loads, and then you are asked to uh, design that. So you should think first thing is how that load is coming on the beam. Yeah, so you should be able to at least think yourself, and then you have to find the answer. So finding answer is the second thing, but understanding what is lacking is the first thing. Yeah, so certain amount of that can happen if you ask questions to yourself. Yeah, without that it's very difficult, because many of your teachers may not be having industry experience and they may not expose you to that. But luckily, if you have a good professor, they will introduce you to all that. But these are the kind of things that you need to think on your own and then find the answer. Now, how to find the answer? There are different ways. One is you try to meet seniors, meet consultants. Internships has been made mandatory, so don't do it for the namesake, do it really. So go to an office. Somebody had asked me how to get it. It's a little difficult in this current time, but then still there may be people who are willing to help you out. So work with consultants, understand the design cycle, and many of it can happen if you think. Say for example, the kind of question I asked you, yeah, why do you pin? Now, you might have seen a frame analysis in BE itself. In your theory of structures, you would have seen some frames fixed. You would have seen some frames pinned. But you never thought why some are pinned and why some are fixed. Am I right? But you have to encourage yourself to start thinking in this manner. Yeah, so when you start thinking in this manner, at least you have some questions to ask. Yeah, if you don't have even questions to ask, then it's very difficult, because you think that, okay, I have done my MTech. Yeah, so it's when you start thinking about this, you understand that there is a gap. Yeah, so then you find ways to cover this. So it could be one, by Asking seniors means not your just previous batch. That's not what I mean. Consultants and people who are established. Yeah. So people will be okay to discuss with you things like this. Say at least use LinkedIn and media like that to at least initiate a discussion. We never know how opportunities are going to knock for you. Yeah. So asking seniors, internships, and do it with full heart. Yeah. Then what? Read as many drawings as possible. How many of you have done that? Read drawings. I mean, reading drawings and understanding architectural requirements, structural drawing, how things are being conveyed is a really required skill. Visualizing certain things. Yeah. So all that skill will get developed when you are reading drawings. It's a very simple task, but how many of you have read a structural drawing, architectural drawing, MEP drawing, and tried to coordinate between that? Yeah. So ask some consultant, can you give me one set of drawings which is having architectural and structural drawing? See, overlay and see where they have given column positions. Yeah. Now, these are things that you can do. Nobody will, I can give you drawings if you ask me. So there will be people who will be okay to give you drawings. Yeah. At least read that, understand that. Now, sometimes you see a plan. Okay. One column is oriented like this, one column is oriented like this. Now, what is the basis? Why don't you think that? Some of you might have thought about it, some of you might not have thought about that. So, why do you, or what stops you in thinking that? Okay, so these are the things. So, read drawings, don't
Another
don't lose an opportunity to visit site. Yeah, you may be liking to be in an office and be with ETAPs there forever, but that will never help. Yeah, you have to visit sites to understand what is being built, how is it being built, what are the requirements, what is the structural system that they are adopting, what are the new technologies. Yeah, even when you visit a shop, for that matter, next time when you visit a shop for buying something, yeah, a shopping mall or something, just look up and see if you can make out the structural system. How is the beam and column arranged? Sometimes you may not be able to make out because there will be false ceilings and things like that, but definitely there will be something or the other to you, other for you to learn from a existing building. The stair, how they have supported that. Yeah, so these are all gaps in education. I understand a lot of students doesn't know what are the different arrangements for supporting stair. Yeah, if you have an open well 3-flight stair, how do you support that? Where the load is going to go? Do you need a beam? Do you need a mid landing beam at every flight? Yeah, there should be a beam along the flight or not. All these are confusion which you have. So at least by seeing some structures you will be able to understand, okay, this guy has supported it in this way. Yeah, so that gives you more understanding on what is done at site, and then you can ask the question, okay, why that beam is given there, why a beam not in the other direction. Until and unless you ask questions, many people don't know that you don't know this. Yeah, so that's how you prompt yourself to become independent. Without your own effort, nothing will happen. So that's what reading a drawing, visiting site, looking at an existing building, all this helps in a big way. Yeah. So uh, internship, then even training can help you if it is oriented in a right manner. Not just ETAPS learning, it never helps you. It only will help you to understand some commands in ETAPS. That's not what you have to look at. A complete training which will take you through all these and at least prompt you to uh, build upon what you learned. Yeah, so once you know what are the kind of things that you need to look into, then probably you will be able to look into that. Yeah, so once you know what is the cycle of a building structure, yeah, what are the kind of things that you need to look into, then probably you will start looking at that. Now some of you may not be knowing what to look for. Yeah, so a training can give you an overview on all that. Then somebody had asked me here in the chat how much time it takes. It all depends on you. It depends on your level of understanding, currently what you are, and how much time you are willing to put into. Yeah. And one advice I give everyone, I might have, if you have spoken to me before, I might have given you this before. Focus on one thing at a time. When you are doing concrete structure, don't think about steel. When you are doing a building, don't think about bridge. When you are doing bridge, don't think about building. Yeah. Building is your bread and butter in India. Be a master of that first. Then think about other things. You will have hundreds of things. Yeah. You will have uh, metro, you will have flat slab, you will have PT, you will have unlimited things. Yeah. You cannot master everything in 1 year. People are thinking about 1 month. Forget 1 month. In 1 year, 3 years, you will not be a master in all this. Yeah. So there are certain things which only time can bring it to you. Yeah. Even if somebody asks me to design a bridge, I may not be able to, because my expertise is not in bridge. Yeah. So don't think that you can be a master of everything in a short span of time. No training, no company, no one can make you that. You also cannot do that yourself. Yeah. So give it a time. Certain things come to you with experience, so that you have to leave it to that. Yeah. But your basics, your understanding, at least a beam and slab system building, you need to be a master. So see if you are that. If you are a master in that, then only you think about other things. If you are not a master in designing 20-floor building, then what is the point in all of a sudden thinking about steel bridges? Yeah. So you have to have clear focus. You need to have a systematic learning plan. If you decided you spend 1 hour every day for this, you spend 1 hour every day for this. Be organized, write it down. Structures is like mathematics. It's not something which you can read and learn. You can't. You have to do and learn. Yeah. So do projects. That's very important. And get guidance if you are not somebody who can Google and find the right information. See, in this world now, with boom in internet learning, there are a lot of wrong information also being spread. There are a lot of juniors getting into training. Some of them are good, but many of them are not. I have seen courses which teach in a very, very wrong way and wrong things. So you have to have that ability to understand what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. So once you do that, and if you have that skill to collate information, you can get a lot of things from YouTube channels. Yeah. Free. But if you don't have that ability to collate things, if you want to have it in order, always, and if you want a mentor to take you through this process, then always register for a good, real training program which helps you to do this. Yeah. So that's what I can tell you. Any other question? See, is doing internship counted as an
Hello, sir.
experience? Yeah, 1 second. I will just answer this. Rajiv has asked me, is doing internship counted as an experience? See, nothing is counted as an experience. Even your real work is not considered as an experience until and unless you are able to demonstrate when you are being interviewed. Yeah. So if somebody sketches a beam like this, and then finally put a load here, and then ask you, this is 2 meter and this load is 10 kilonewton, what is the moment coming here? You should be able to understand that still that moment is going to be W multiplied by L, even if the beam is looping like this. Yeah. So this kind of understanding you should have in basics. You should be able to demonstrate that you have 1 year experience. Saying that I have 2 years of experience, but when they ask you what is seismic force, yeah, then you say something is coming and hitting your foundation, which is wrong. If you answer in that manner, then you are gone. Yeah. So you should have technical understanding of things. You should be able to present that as well. So you should know technically what an earthquake is. As I said, it's an inertia. Yeah. So how is it acting in the building? So whatever you are being asked, you should be able to technically present that. Yeah. Knowing is one thing, presenting is another thing. Then you should have a lot of luck. That's a different thing altogether. So at least you should have the understanding and the ability to perform. I mean, present. Doing structures abroad, all same thing. See, by doing structures abroad, it doesn't give you any added advantage. Yeah, if you have done it in the right way, yes, it gives you an advantage even in India or abroad. But if you have done a abroad masters really well, you can, you have a better chance to get placed in that country itself wherever you're doing it. Is it necessary to consider eccentric load on beam due to brick wall? All this we will discuss later, Ajit. We cannot discuss it right now. This I answered. Memberships in India, Institution of Engineers membership. Then there are various organizations like Steel Design Council and various other things which will give you membership. I will. You can write to me. I will collate information and give you. Whoever has asked that question, Srujan Pawar has asked me that.
Sir, I'd like to ask that what are one of the best ways to improve the fundamental knowledge base and the codal provisions base, sir?
Okay. See, caudal
Because
provisions.
one thing is that, sir, in
Yeah.
ETABS, what happens is that we are following a specific procedure to design a building, like carrying out time history analysis and response spectrum analysis. But when it comes to understanding those, what we actually are doing, even if I personally, if I go and read 1893, then I won't be able to understand because again I lack some knowledge of structural dynamics, sir. So sometimes it gets all quite overwhelming, sir. So
Yeah.
possible
Who is
solution to
this?
that, sir.
Who is this? What's your name? I didn't see who is talking.
Heather, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Muzammil
So
Heather.
yeah. So that understanding is needed. So that's when a well-guided program will help you if you are feeling like there is a lot of difficulty in understanding that. See, even people, you spoke about dynamics, but yeah, that's something relevant. I'm not saying that it's not relevant, but even at a very very basic level, things like um, when will you use membrane option for modeling slab, when will you use shell thin option, when you have a cutout in slab, what you need to do, what do you mean by diaphragm, all these kind of things. Simply doing in ETABS is not going to help you. Yeah, will you assign something as a rigid diaphragm or a flexible diaphragm, when will you use that, why, what will happen when you assign something as a flexible diaphragm? All these are part of your basic understanding, and if you know all this and appreciate that, then you can use ETABS and get right results. If you are not aware of these things, then you can model it, but then finally your answer may not be as required. So that's what's happening with the students. Most of the students give more emphasis to the software. So that's not what you have to do. You have to give more importance to basics and then use the software to ensure that what you learned is applied in there, and then you get the answers. So the method
Sir,
is
so
either
my
internship
question
or
was how to improve that. Yes, sir.
how to how to get that
I
knowledge.
mean,
Yeah.
how
So
to
the
improve that fundamentals base, sir.
yeah
Yes,
yeah
sir.
yeah. So the only way is working with somebody, internship, training. Yeah, or get your own information from internet, but that's very difficult sometimes. So either you should get a chance to work with someone, internship, or get into a well guided training.
Sir, and moreover, uh, reading textbooks again like RCC and SOM, mechanics, dynamics, would that even help, sir? Again, going through all the important topics what we have been taught.
Yeah, that surely helps you, but that alone may not be sufficient, and some of the information may have to be tweaked to suit practical things. Say, for example, what I spoke about, the need of a sleeve in a beam. I don't think any textbook will explain you like that. Yeah. So all this comes with
Yes, sir.
application of what you learn. You know that tension zone, tension is taken by steel, but you never learned that the compression zone you cannot give, or you should not give sleep, because our curriculum is not put together in that manner. So that will come to you only if somebody with experience talks to you. Yeah, even I didn't know about all this when I was young like you. So you are not what do you call, it's not that you don't know anything, it's not like that. Everything comes with experience. That's the problem with the education in India. We are not exposed to things, but things will start coming to you slowly. But the best of the best do concentrate on these points. So that's what I wanted to tell you. So currently the job market is like a little scarce. So if you focus on these kind of gaps, then that will be easier for you to demonstrate that you know. Yeah, and especially when we are working remotely, consultants prefer people who trouble them less. Yeah, so if you ask your boss every day some questions like how do I take out stair loads, yeah, that may not be appreciated. So that's the reason freshers are getting lesser chances. See, these kind of questions, how do we design concealed beam, Harsha? I cannot answer in this webinar because we have some other topic which we have decided. Concealed beam, first thing is concealed beam is not a beam. Yeah, it is as stiff as slab. So you cannot consider this as a beam. What is the purpose of a concealed beam? Had you done the free course I gave you on stability, I think I have mentioned in that what is meant by a concealed. I don't exactly remember it was part of it, but see, if you have a slab, yeah, and why do we give concealed beam? First thing, why do we give concealed beam? What is the purpose? To make an architect happy? No, that is not the reason. Yeah, so if you have a column here, I will tie this with a concealed beam. Okay, now this beam is only performing the function of a tie here, only to ensure that this is not slender, its sway is controlled. This beam has no other role. I cannot say this is two different slab, S1 and S2. No, it's not like that. It is still a single slab, S1. Yeah, so the load goes only to these four beams. I don't want to take the load onto the concealed beam because you are calling it a concealed beam, but in reality, if I draw the section of the slab, it is something here within the slab, so its stiffness is same. Yeah, so its stiffness is same, so it will deflect along with the slab, same as the slab. So this is not a beam at all. It's only performing the role of a tie here. Where else you will give conceal beam? Say if you have a wall, yeah, you have a wall resting on the slab. To ensure that there is no concentrated load effect, we give a conceal beam only to distribute that wall load better. Yeah, so that's not a beam. You call it a concealed beam, that's a different thing. So if you ask me how to design a concealed beam, it's not a beam at all. Yeah. Now, if it's a tie, there are certain ways that you can look at the tie forces in that concealed beam and then ensure that it can take compression and tension. But that I cannot explain you right now in 5 minutes. It takes time. So your quick answer is concealed beam is not a beam. It's a part of the slab. It's only provided to tie the columns or to distribute the loads in pointed loads, something like a line load of a wall to distribute it. And when you cannot give a proper beam there, we give that. Yeah, so it's like a stiffener. It's like a stiff portion of the slab to reduce the concentrated effect of the wall. So all these are something which you need to understand practically. Australia or UK, which country is better for masters in construction management? Kanishka, I'm not really sure about that. I suppose both should be okay. Okay, so now let me also quickly introduce you to some courses if you are interested. So I had offered you some thing today. So if you want to look at our courses, you can look at course.civilara.com, and those who attended the webinar will get a benefit today on enrolling these courses. So here we have, I had given you this as a free course, Structural Basics, in which some role of a structural engineer and a lot of things on stability was discussed. So if you have done this, you will know what I mean. Then here there is a civil engineering quiz, which is again free, where you can test. There will be a lot of questions which will prompt you to understand what are the gaps. Say, for example, when you size the foundation, will you use factored load or unfactored load? Anybody can answer me?
Unfactored load, sir.
Why is it unfactored? Why don't we use factored?
Because if we use unfactored load, then area of the foundation will increase, I believe, sir.
No, increase and decrease
When
is a
divided by SBC.
no. In that case, why do we need factor of safety for our loads?
Sir,
If you don't take factor of safety, it will be less. No, we cannot say that, right? Because in every case, we are
sir,
using factored loads.
sir, I think the bearing capacity that we take is already factored. We take safe bearing capacity.
Yeah, that's the right answer. Who is this?
Sir, Dhirender Vist.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the answer. When you say SBC and the report shows, say, 200 kilonewton per meter square as the SBC, in reality, the SBC is 600. 3 times it is factored down. Yeah. So load by area is the, I mean, load by SBC is the area needed. When you have a load of, say, 1200, actually you should have divided it by 600. Yeah, but the soil consultant gave you 200 by reducing the capacity to 200. So instead of 1200 by 600, which would have given you 2 as the area required, what you did was you divided it by 200. Yeah, 600 was reduced to 200 and you are giving 6 already. Yeah, so there is a factor of 3. Some consultants may use 2.5, whatever. So your area foundation is already 3 times more than what actually is. Yeah, but you cannot compromise on that because that's what the code tells you. You need to have that kind of margin for factor of safety for soil capacity. So when you are doing that, further increasing your load by 1.5 times is going to be a little too much. So the load code allows you to use unfactored load for sizing of the footing, only for sizing. Yeah. After that, you find the pressure, you have to factor again to get the moments and your shear. So like this, a lot of points you are going to get from this quiz, so you understand where you stand. Fine. Then if you are keen on learning structural analysis and design, this is a course for you, which authoritatively teaches you everything you need for a beam and slab system. So it covers scheming, what you need to do to decide the orientation of columns. Do you need a shear wall in a building? You cover most of ETABS. Yeah. Then all the caudal provisions, IS 456, 1893, whatever is needed, all your modeling of stair, supporting of stair, all these kind of things, not only in ETABS, but generic things. So here, basics of seismic. Yeah, it's not ETABS related alone. Code provisions, load combinations. See, there are multiple things that you need to understand. Things like, see, you have a combination 0.9 DL plus 1.5 wind load. Yeah. You also have 1.5 dead load plus 1.5 wind load. So when you have 1.5, why do you need 0.9? 1.5 is more than 0.9. Yeah. So why do we still use 0.9 and check? Yeah, so these are things which some consultant might ask you. If you check out my YouTube video, there is a webinar exclusively on that particular topic. It will lead you to stress reversal. What is that? All that you can see. So you can go to YouTube, YouTube Civil Era Bangalore. If you type, you will get the YouTube channel. There I have mentioned about all that. So all these are going to be part of the course as well. A bit more in detail, it will be discussed. Wind load applications, basics of wind load, all these. Yeah. Then stiffness modification. Yeah, this is a very important topic. Membrane versus shell. When will you model membrane? When will you model shell? Why? What? what is torsion, equilibrium torsion versus compatibility torsion. Yeah, so all these are advanced topics that we are covering, and result interpretation, so many things. I mean, everything that you need to do for a beam and slab system, including detailing, will be covered here. Yeah, so many additional videos I keep on uploading as and when I feel it is important for you. So many things, including detailing. From scheming to detailing, you will learn in a consulting way, covering all the important points. Whatever gaps I spoke about, you will be able to discuss with me as well in a comprehensive way. So here we have three plans. Okay, for this particular course, we offer three different payment plans. This for 15,001 is for a direct class, which is suspended now because of the pandemic. But online is also available, but this will be occasional because every 4 months or 5 months we will have this. At the moment, there is no batch. These three options are available to you. Only difference is the duration of access, yeah, and my support. Say for example, 5,000 plan will have only a email support, whereas 7,500 plan will have phone support. This will have more support on every media, phone, Zoom, direct. You can even come to my office when we are open and do the doubt clarification, but only after the pandemic, and you will have 3 years access for this. So here you will get more support from me, and you will have more extra projects also in this plan. Yeah. So what I am offering whoever attended the webinar is, if somebody is already my student and if you have attended, for your second course you will get this offer. So you can contact me. All the 7,500 plans will be available to you for 5,000, which means this plan will be for you for 5,000, and this 10,000 plan will be available to you for 7,500. So this is what I'm offering you today, whoever attended the webinar. And if you are already my student, please don't ask for this reduction now, because this is only for the new enrollment. So if you want to enroll for the other courses, you can take that benefit. So this will be open for the next 3 days. You can take the 10,000 plan for 7,500 and the 7,500 for 5,000. So if anybody is interested to get a guided training from me, it will be a self-paced course. You will be getting access, but you will be getting enough clarifications to learn. So we'll have a community page inside the login, like a Facebook page. You will be able to post your questions and I will be answering that as well. So that way, I'll be also sending you video links. So if you ask me a doubt, I'll be recording a video exclusively for you. If the doubt is a little difficult one, and you will get that video link. In spite of that, if you still have doubt, then probably we can connect on Zoom. So it will not be like every day you will get Zoom. Every day you will get a call. It's not like that. First you have to put a mail or a message in the community page, and then based on the severity of the doubt, we will attend to that in one of these modes. So if you are keen on that, you can enroll. Same way, we have courses on, if there are any diploma students, there are courses on Revit structures. Yeah, there is a course on advanced analysis and foundation design, Revit architecture. But as a civil structural engineer, I would recommend Revit structures. Yeah, so for all the courses, I can do that offer for you. Those who attended the webinar, even there is a course on Stat Pro which is coming up. Yeah. So for all these courses, the offer is valid, but the 5,000 course will have the same fee, 5,000. That's the minimum fee for the courses. So if anyone is keen, you can get back to me after the webinar. It will be open for 2 days. And if you have any other questions, you can ask me as well on Revit or on design. Another 5 minutes, we'll have to wind off because I have set it for 2 hours. After that, it will get disconnected as well. Maybe another 10 minutes. Any questions on anything on this? Anybody? You can pick up the mic and speak. Muta is asking, can we get this lecture video? You mean to say this particular webinar? I will try to give it. This conceal B, maybe I will write a blog on that for your understanding sometime. Please keep reminding me, Harsha. You can email me to remind me. This I think I answered Rajshekhar. So Hail, I struck T and I see. You can just Google, and if you have doubts, you can ask me. Any other question, anybody? Rajiv was asking any opportunity to do internship with you. At this point in time, no, Rajiv, we are not having a position for internship. What you can do is you can send me your CV. If there is anything coming up, or if any of my friends are needing an intern, I will surely forward. So please send me your CV. I will see. But at this point in time, there is no position as such. Is it possible that I can join the course after 2 months? Amrita, you can contact me. Let us see. I cannot assure you right now, but this offer is only for the next 2 days. If you are really keen, you can book it, but then the time you can start later. In the sense, your 3 years access time can start when you start doing that. So that I can do for you. If not, you contact me after 2 months. Based on the situation at that time, we will discuss. So I think we are done now. So thank you for joining the webinar, and I wish you all the very best, and be in touch. If you have any doubts, you can contact me, not an issue. I will, with the time limitations, we will be able to clarify whatever is possible. So be in touch and keep asking me doubts. Yeah, so in case of the offer, if anyone is needed to join, please let me know as well. Yeah, so thank you really very much for your time. I hope you learned something out of it. If you need more elaborate explanation on anything, please feel free to ask me. If I find it really relevant, I might even do a blog or video and then post it as a YouTube video or as a blog, so that everyone will be benefited. Yeah, so keep writing, be in touch. So again, thank you.